Hi, OJ. They call me a philanthropist, a helper of the poor, a man of the people. Last week, they gave me an award at a five-star hotel, Outstanding Community Leader of the Year. I stood on that stage in my white agbada, gold glittering at my wrist, and accepted the crystal trophy while 500 people stood and applauded. What I don't know is that I've killed 55 people. Not with my hands, not with a gun or a knife, but I killed them all the same. And before you close this confession, before you convince yourself that this is just another fiction, another ghost story told to scare children, let me tell you something. I wish it were. I wish I could wake up and find that these 15 years were just a nightmare. I wish the blood on my hands was ketchup from some elaborate prank. I wish the screams I hear every night were just my imaginations playing tricks. But the bank statements are real. The mansions are real. The fleet of cars parked at my cantonment compound are real. And the bodies, God help me, the bodies are real. My name doesn't matter at the moment. You've probably seen me before. You've even taken a selfie with me at one moment at a charity event. You might have been one of the hundreds who line up at the gate each morning, calling me daddy, blessing my name while I scatter CDs like I'm feeding pigeons. If you were, I'm sorry, because every CD I gave you was bought with someone else's last breath. This is my confession. Not because I want forgiveness. I am far beyond that now. Not because I want to warn you about the dangers of secret societies and blood money. You won't listen anyway. Greed is a powerful teacher, and some lessons can only be learnt in the dark. I am writing this, OJ, because in 6 hours, they are coming for me. Not the police, not the court, them. The ones I made a covenant with 15 years ago. The ones I failed 3 nights ago on Christmas Eve. The ringtone of my phone cuts through the silence of my bedroom like a machete through sugarcane. I stared at the screen, unknown number, and my hands began to shake before I even answered. Brother, the voice said, deep, calm, terrible. December is coming. Don't forget the sacrifice. My throat went dry. I sat in my bed. The Egyptian cotton sheet suddenly feels like burial cloth against my skin. No problem, I managed to whisper. Everything will go smoothly this year. That low chuckle on the other end, then silence. I sat there in my cantonment mansion, surrounded by everything money could buy, and felt the cold fingers of fear crawl up my spine. 15 years since I joined the society, since I made my first trip to see the old man in that village near Winneba. 15th December, 15 Decembers of blood. The air condition hummed, but sweat poured down my face anyway. I walked to the window and looked out at my compound. The manicured lawn, the fountain, the fleet of cars gleaming under security lights. All of it paid for in a way the world would never understand. This is the price for wealth, I whispered to my reflection in the glass. I couldn't stop now, even if I wanted to. I had gone too far. When morning came, OJ, they were already at my gate. They always were. Widows with hospital bills, students with school fees, market women with rent problem, young men looking for jobs. To them, I was daddy. I was hope wrapped in expensive clothes and gold chains. If only they knew. I stepped outside in a white kaftan, and they erupted with cheers. Daddy, our helper, God bless you. I smiled and waved, distributing CDs like I was catching seats. Women knelt and prayed for me. Young men called me their role model. My assistants leaned in close. Boss, should we tell them to stop coming every day? It's becoming too much. I laughed softly. No, let them come. Their praises are part of the sacrifice. He looked confused, but said nothing. Nobody on my staff understood what I meant, and that's exactly how I wanted it. Their ignorance kept them safe. Their ignorance kept my secret buried. After 2 hours of playing the generous man, I went upstairs and stood before my bedroom mirror. The gold watch on my wrist cost more than most people's annual salary. My agbada was hand-woven, imported from the best tailors in Accra. If only they knew, I whispered to my reflection. If only they knew the price, OJ. I touched the talisman hanging beneath my shirt, the one the old man had given me years ago, and remembered last night's call. It was time. I told my driver to prepare the car. We were going to the village. The journey to see Baba took us past Kaswa. My mind was already in the shrine, already smelling the incense and blood. The village looked like time had forgotten it existed. Mud houses with rusted zinc roofs, children scratching in the red dust, old women sitting under trees. We parked at the edge of the bush path, and I told my driver to wait. Don't move from here, I said, grabbing the leather bag filled with 50,000 cedis. He nodded, fear flickering in his eyes. He had driven me here before. He knew better than to ask questions. The path into the forest grew darker with each step. The smell hit me first. Burning herbs, something metallic, something ancient. Then I heard a drum, faint but steady, like a heartbeat from the earth itself. Baba was waiting, sitting cross-legged on his wooden stool. His eyes were red, not from age, but from something else. Something that had stopped being human a long time ago. Welcome, my son, he said in Twi, his voice scrapping like stones. The spirits have been waiting. I knelt and placed the bag before him. He opened it, counted with practiced fingers, and smiled. A smile that made my stomach turn. You have done well, he said. Now we begin. From behind a curtain of cowrie shell, he brought out of the casket. Small, black, wrapped in red cloth. The same one I had used for 15 years. The same one that had built my empire. You know what to do, Baba said, placing it before me. 4 times before Christmas Day. Drop it on a major road at midnight, before morning. It will return to you. When it disappears, blood will flow. The spirits will take their share, and your wealth will multiply. I stared at the casket. My hands trembled as I reached for it. Each sacrifice opens new doors. Baba continued pouring something dark from the calabash over my head. The liquid was warm and smelled of rust. Do not delay. Do not fail. I won't, I said, my voice stronger than it felt. As I turned to leave, a wind blew through the shrine, despite there being no window. The candles flickered wildly. and Baba's laughter followed me out into the dying light. That night, I couldn't sleep. The casket sat on my bedside table, and I swear I could hear it breathing. At exactly midnight, I dressed in black and signaled the driver. "Let's go," I whispered. We drove to the Accra Cape Coast Highway to a bend I scouted weeks ago. The road was empty, lit only by a weak moon. I stepped out with a casket, looked round once, twice, then placed it gently by the roadside. The chant came easily. 15 years of practice. I spat 3 times, muttered the final words, and rushed back to the car. "Drive," I said. My driver sped away without words. When we got home, I hid the casket under my bed and poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey. My hands shook as I drank. Around 4 a.m., I heard it, a whisper from nowhere. "It's done." I jumped up, but the room was empty. I laughed nervously and drank more whiskey until sleep finally came. By morning, OJ, my phone was ringing off the hook. My assistant burst into my room, his face pale. Boss, have you seen the news?" I turned on the TV slowly, already knowing what I would see. A bus crashed, the same highway, 23 people dead, including a pregnant woman and 5 children. The bodies were scattered across the road. The bus crashed like a tin can. Families were already gathering at the morgue, wailing. I felt my lip curled into a smile I couldn't control. "It has begun," I whispered. That afternoon, I drove back to see Baba. He was waiting outside the shrine, nodding like a proud father. "The spirits are pleased," he said. "They have taken the soul. 3 more remain." I dropped another bundle of cash at his feet. As I turned to leave, he called after me. "Do not fail, my son. The gods you serve are patient, but they are also hungry." I nodded and walked back to my car, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and something darker, something that felt almost like pleasure. The days that followed were golden. Every business deal I touched turned to profit. This is your anonymous OJ, and if you are new here, I would like you to like, subscribe, share, comment, and hype this channel, and tell somebody about your anonymous OJ. I'll see you in our next conversion.